What's up everybody, this is Rick from Studio Spades, and today I'm going to show you the brand new Exploder Tool 2.17. A lot has changed, but in this video I am going to show you the brand new influence fields and subsequent math modifiers you have with those for the sphere and curve fall off. So let me just start by adding a new Exploder tool and adding it to a collection and using a simple mesh for this. I like the icosphere, so I'm going to use that one. Add it to a collection as well. Call it, I don't know, whoops, ico or something. It doesn't matter. Hide it, of course, because we're going to control everything from the modifier window that we're going to pin right here, so that it won't disappear when we're selecting different objects. We'll keep the Exploder tool window just right here when we need it. So loading the icosphere back into Exploder tool, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, so yeah, like I said, the Falloff system has gotten quite an update. Now under sphere fall off and curve fall off, you can modify the influence. Now in previous versions of Exploder tool, you only had one sphere of influence, if you could call it like that. But now you have two. Now what does that mean? We can enable an effect, for example. So let's do extrude, do it on one level, switch to madcap, so we can quickly identify the direction of the normals. And let's select a fall off, and as you can see, we now have sphere fall off 1 and sphere fall off 2. Now these are both controlled to the same sphere fall off object, like so. So if you select it and you move it around under a parameter that is enabled, like so, yeah, it will have an effect, of course. That's nothing new. But we have a whole influence menu here, and we can control the first fall off with this parameter right here. So we can add, subtract, multiply, or divide. With this value here, the size of the influence. So if we add a minus number, that means it actually subtracts. And if you subtract and put in a positive number, it also subtracts. So that basically does the same thing, but you can quickly switch the ways to calculate it in the drop down here. But we can shrink the zone of influence here, meaning that we can get a much tighter sphere of influence with this sphere fall off, and influence way less or way more faces this way. So really handy. And multiplying and dividing gives a bit of a different effect, and is a bit more, how would you say, exponential, instead of a more linear way that happens with add or subtract. So the effect with multiply and divide will be a bit more intense. So that's sphere fall of 1, and we can also select number 2. So we'll go back to extrude, select number 2, and you'll see it switch to a different setting here. That's because now it's using this setting here, the one below. So you can do the same thing. Now you might think, okay, that's cool, but why would you want this? Well, this way you can use one effect, have one effect use the first zone of influence, and another parameter or another effect can use the second one. So you can offset certain effects and influence them in a separate manner. So we could have the first one, the first extrude level here, could be influenced by the first sphere fall off, and we can do the size of the faces here, of the top, which can be modulated with this slider here. We could give that a sphere fall off 2, and now the same sphere fall off object influences those two parameters differently based on the settings that we do here. So we can change the extrude with the first bar and the size of that extruded face with the second one. And yeah, this effect transfers to whatever parameter you use, whether it's extrude or explode or curve explode or whatever. Polygon effects. I've renamed split faces to polygon effects, by the way, so this is not a new effect, but this better represents what it does. You could, yeah, use the same object and just have way more control over the way it's getting influenced by the fall off here. So that's what sphere fall off 1 and 2 do. And the same goes for the curve fall off. Same thing. They have an add menu parameter and another math add menu and zone of influence. So let's do it quickly for the curve fall off. Switch this one to the first one, press play. Nothing seems to be playing right now. That's peculiar. Why is that? Is the sphere fall off too big? Yeah, it's probably too big. Let me see, why is it not working? Yeah, okay, sorry. In cases where an effect doesn't work, you might want to realize the layer instances, because when you check the spreadsheet here, let's select Blender Explorer tool. You'll see we have face corners, faces, edges, a lot of geometry right here. When we uncheck this, it goes back to an instance. So the curve fall off, which is something I forgot to mention in the beginning, of course, needs to have realized layer instances enabled. If you don't have it enabled, or if something doesn't seem to be working, try enabling realized layer instances. That changes the instance to actual geometry. So we have vertex, face, blah, blah, blah. If you don't, it goes back to an instance here. And then it's only one instance of mesh. And then not every face has its own parameters and is not, yeah, is not going to respond to the curve fall off without it. So make sure you turn it on, and that way the curve fall off will be animated. Let's just lengthen the timeline here for so that it doesn't loop. Now this is the curve fall off that comes with Explorer tool, just a simple circle, but you can use any curve you want. You can edit it, and it will by default follow this path in a loop, because it uses the loop modifier by default. You can turn it off, of course, and then it won't move. Then you'll have to change it manually, but I like it to happen automatically. And yeah, this basically does the same thing. Sphere of influence can be tweaked with this modify influence menu here. Pull it a bit closer to the object. Boom. And maybe shrink it a bit more. Maybe extrude it a bit less, so maybe 0.2. 0.4 maybe. And yeah, we have curve fall off enabled on the size of the polygons here. So let's go to the second one and start messing around with that, and you can see I'm changing shape. Now they're basically a pyramid, and when I slide open the influence, the faces become more open. And that's one way to yeah, have multiple parameters being influenced separately. So more control with the new fall-off system, and I hope you like it. Please show me what you make with the new version of Blender Explorer tool. This update is of course free for everyone who owns it, and is available on Blender Market right now. Thank you for watching, and take care.